We all want to feel peace in our lives, peace in our choices, our beliefs, our relationships, and our environment. I've learned that this desired contentment is often found through holding on to less. When we pare down what we own, what we consume, and what we value, we're left with what's intentional, a personalized curation of what is important and true and useful to us. I'm Shannon Leyko, and you're listening to Paring Down, a podcast aimed at helping you declutter not only your home, but any area of your life that's overwhelming. Here, we're having interesting and honest conversations about the physical and mental clutter that drowns out what truly matters to each of us. And together, we'll learn how to pare it all down, not for the sake of perfection or becoming rigid, rather so we can move through life with less overwhelm and more joy, wisdom, and peace. Happy March! Can you believe we're here? What is time? I cannot believe we're heading into March and that Easter is this month. I know that part of being human is discussing the same things every single year, like when it starts to get dark at 5 o'clock or it starts to get lighter or we have to do daylight savings time issues with our kids' sleep. We discuss the same things every single year, but also, why is it so shocking every year? Why does January go so fast every year? Why does February not even exist in the calendar year when we live it? It is very bizarre to me. I will say the same thing next March, but here we are. Anyway, I'm glad you're here with me. I am certainly happy that we've made it through this twilight zone together, and hopefully time will begin to make a little bit more sense now that we're officially into the spring-ish months. I don't even know. Listen, I don't know what's going on with weather ever anymore because I lived in Alaska for 3 years where the weather up there made no sense. And now I live in Florida and the weather down here makes no sense. I was somewhere where it was mostly cold all the time. Now I'm somewhere where it's pretty much warm all the time. So seasons don't really mean a lot to me anymore, but we're here. And I'm wearing a sweater, even though I'm pretty sure it's 65, 70 degrees outside today. So you know what? Live your life in whatever twilight zone happiness bubble you want to live. None of that probably made any sense, but it's fine because today's a solo episode. It's just me and you. I don't need to make sense to anybody except for the people that have been kind enough to tune in here. And you guys know how weird I am already. So if you're back, you know what you're getting into. All right. So today I am going to talk us through some more things that people have requested me to talk about. It actually just makes my life so easy when you guys make requests, because then I don't have to come up with topics on my own. And it's actually really fascinating to hear how many people share the same types of struggles with me, because we often feel so alone, or we're like, what do I even do with this? And does everyone else have it figured out except for me? The answer is you're not alone and nobody has it figured out. So I hope that makes you feel better. I don't have it figured out either. I'm very much human, but I'm happy to offer my 2 cents, and hopefully something I say will help your life run a little bit smoother, you know? So today we are talking about doom piles or doom rooms, however you operate, and mail. Those 2 things have come up a lot. People want to know, how do I keep my mail from piling up, papers everywhere? And they're kind of like doom piles. I feel like mail piles are a type of doom pile, so this feels like they go hand in hand nicely. But we're going to start with just a doom pile. And you might be like, Shannon, what in the world is a doom pile? A doom pile is when you just put stuff on a counter on the floor because you don't know what to do with it. And then it attracts other stuff because stuff is a magnet, right? If you have a clear countertop and then you put a hair tie on it, then suddenly next to the hair tie will be a Lego that needs to go back to your son's room. And then your partner gets home from work and they see the hair tie and the Lego and they're like, this is a perfect place for my sunglasses. And before you know it, you have this big pile on your counter all because of a hair tie. So one thing attracts another thing, and those really tend to turn into doom piles. So I actually looked it up online because I was like, I love the term doom pile and doom room, but it turns out that it's actually an acronym. Fun fact, it means didn't organize, only moved. DOOM. Doom. Didn't organize, only moved. Isn't that cute and funny and also so true? There are actually, in my opinion, pros and cons to doom piles. So let's start with some pros, just to make yourself feel a little bit better if you fall into the doom pile or doom room category here, if that's something that sounds extremely familiar to you. Here are some pros. Listen, a doom pile is a quick way to clear a large area. Maybe you have a bunch of stuff on the counter and you're just like, I need somewhere to prep our food for dinner. And so you grab it all and it turns into one big pile. listen, you did it. You prepped food. You did whatever you need to do to make space. Or maybe like your floors are just a mess. You need to vacuum, and that's a good thing to do. So you just grab everything that's on the floor and you push it into the corner, doom pile, but also you vacuumed, you know? So it's a great way to clear a large area when you don't have a whole lot of time. It can also be the first step in organization. That's kind of what like the doom piles in my house tend to be. It's like, I'm like, okay, I'm going to put all of the sweaters that my kids took off over here in this corner because I need to go put them away in their rooms. Or I'm going to put all the books that I just brought in from the library over here in this little corner and my other books that I need to go put away or whatever. Right. And so that's like the first step in organization. They do become a little doomy because, like I said, they attract more. But if you're the kind of person that puts like items in piles around your house, they are doom piles, but they're like organized doom piles. So shout out to your organized doom piles. Another pro of doom piles is that if you lose energy while decluttering or tidying, which we all do, at least things aren't in total disarray. Like, let's say that you have 20 minutes and you just want to pick up the house really fast. So you quickly make like item piles and you put them all around or whatever. And then you start putting certain things away where they're actually supposed to go. But when you run out of energy or run out of time, at least things are in piles and not just like strewn around the house. And lastly, listen, a doom room, I'm not against it. I have one. It's our guest room. I don't love it, right? Like when we know we have a room full of delayed decisions, essentially, like just stuff that we quickly threw in somewhere. It's not fun. It hangs over our heads, but at least the rest of the house looks good, you know? And so I get it. It's part of being human. I just want you guys to know that. Like sometimes we don't have all the time in the world to get everything put away exactly where it's supposed to go. So if you only have one messy room in your house at a time, like shout out to you. I think that's great. But we should dive into the cons because that's why you're here, right? Okay, so we all know that doom piles and doom rooms are really just a tool to procrastinate, which only makes it harder in the future because it builds up in your head. And these are all delayed decisions, right? That's what we tend to throw into a pile. You don't know where to put it. You don't know what to do with it. You don't know if you want to keep it. You're not sure if it needs to be addressed or it doesn't. You got to put it in a drawer. I don't know, whatever. It's all delayed decision. And the more we let it build up, the more our heads tell us, oh my gosh, that's going to be the worst. And then we procrastinate even more. And it's this cycle. And so the piles keep growing and we never do anything with them, right? So that sucks. And then if the piles keep growing instead of ever getting taken care of, then that becomes like the new home for those items. You're like, even for things that you know where they go, even for things that you maybe would before this pile existed have just put away nicely, you're like, well, there's already a stack of sweatshirts on that chair in the corner, so I'm gonna throw this one on top of it, even though you know where sweatshirts go in the closet, right? So it becomes a new home, and it's a home that just annoys you in the long run. So that's always a bad sign. Um, Things get lost in doom piles, right? Like you're like, where is the other sock? Or like, I don't know, where is my child's shoe? Right. And it's at the bottom of a doom pile somewhere. And so then you either need to like rip apart the entire house and rip apart all your other doom piles, or maybe you put them in shoes that don't really work for them, or maybe you even buy them another pair of shoes because you can't find that one shoe and it's just a waste of money. I mean, listen, things get lost so easily even when you don't have doom piles, especially when you have kids because they're very creative at hiding things. So like that's a problem. Another big con is that it is like this never ending to-do list just staring at you, hanging over your head. When you see piles everywhere, you're like, ugh, like the house is never set. And we all want a home that feels set. Or even if they're out of sight, like in a guest room like mine, you just know that what if a guest comes over? What if we need something that's in there? Or like, man, I really need to list those things on Facebook Marketplace, or I really need to do a Goodwill run, or I haven't really decided what I'm going to do with that big old picture that used to mean a lot to me that we hung on the wall, but now I don't really have a spot for it on the wall. I'm not really sure what to do with it. And so it's just like sitting on the guest bed, right? Like these things hang over our heads and it's the worst. So even though there are some pros to doom piles, I think we can all agree that like life and home is better without them. So let's do something about them. This is what we can do. Baskets. Baskets, baskets, baskets. Get yourself a physical boundary. I know a lot of people do this for the doom pile at the bottom of their stairs that needs to move upstairs. This is, again, a big reason I really never want to live in a 2-story home. Well, that was our first house, is a 2-story house. And It's just a pain to go up and down stairs. And listen, if you're already in your forever home and it's a 2-story home, or that just makes more sense financially for you and because you need more space and it takes up less of a lot, that's why you have 2-story homes. I get it. I'm not like saying that you've made some terrible choice if you have a 2-story home. I'm just saying that living in a ranch home is a gift because you don't have doom piles at the bottom of the stairs. But baskets are huge. Like, not huge baskets. Baskets are huge in terms of being a really good way to manage doom piles. Here's why. One, they look nice. Okay. You're not just going to be staring at a pile of crud on your floor. You're going to be staring at a pretty wicker basket. And I think that's nice. Also, it is a physical boundary. I think we've talked about physical boundaries here on the podcast before, but it is nice to be like, okay, this is my limit. When this basket is full, it is time. It is time to put things where they actually go. Okay. So that gives you a little bit of wiggle room when you're in a rush and you just need to clear the floors to vacuum, or you're on the way out the door and you just like don't want to come home to a crazy house. You throw it all in a basket. Fine. Live your little human life. We're all human. I get it. But when the basket is full, that is your boundary. That is your sign. Okay. I'm not going to just keep adding things into it until the basket itself disappears. Put it away. I also suggest getting multiple baskets so that things are like in the general area where they belong. So you could have a basket, let's say you could have a basket near the toy room where you just throw all the toys that need to get put away that have like somehow found their way into other areas of the house. You could have a basket at the bottom of the steps like we talked about. You can have a laundry basket in the middle of the hallway. There are no rules here, okay? But baskets strategically placed where you tend to find items that go into doom piles and they belong somewhere else. Like, try and get them all into a basket relatively near where they belong. Like, I'm a big fan of, we have a pony wall, and that's where I put books that need to go back into my son's room, hair ties that go into the kids' bathrooms, anything that belongs in the second half of the house. Like, my house is divided in two in my head. If it goes into the back side of the house, it just lives there. And then I grab it as I'm walking to that area of the house, if that makes sense. So, put baskets out strategically so that they make your life easier when it is time to put things away. And as always, the biggest thing here is you got to declutter. If there is not an obvious home for an item, it needs to go. Goodbye. Get out of your house, or decide on a permanent home for it. So these are some things that often don't have homes. Temporary items, right? So like library books, homework that comes home, flyers that you want to keep only until the event happens, but you like need the reminder, borrowed items, anything that someone dropped off or you need to return to someone or whatever. These temporary items tend to not have a home. So have a temporary item basket and just like put it somewhere that's not annoying, and just anything that's temporary, put it in there. And I know that homework or flyers or whatever might not work in there, and that's fine. Homework, put it right back in the kid's backpack. If it's not done, fine, put it in the backpack, or have a folder that goes into the art closet or that they keep at a certain place in their room or whatever. Find a home for homework. Flyers, I will get to when it comes to paper. We're going to talk about mail and paper here in a minute. But temporary items, give them a home, even if they're temporary. And then another thing that doesn't have a home a lot of times are things that you need when you leave the house. So keys. Maybe most of us have like a key ring, or a bowl, but some of us don't. Sunglasses, your phone, AirPods, really anything that you want to grab on the way out the door. We often just kind of like come and put it on a pile on the kitchen counter or your drop zone or whatever. And then that creates more and more piles, right? Like the whole hairband thing that I shared about how it's like a magnet, and then one thing comes, then another, and then another, and the next thing you know, you have a doom pile. Keys, sunglasses, phones, and AirPods tend to be the start of doom piles. Even if you grab them and leave, then the other stuff that has become attracted to them remains as the doom pile. So have a little box or a little tray that those things specifically go on, your grab and go items. That has been really, really big for us. And just remember, when it is time to go through your baskets and your doom piles, just take it one item at a time. You might look at the basket or the doom pile and it's overwhelming because you have so many different types of items there, or there's so many of the same kind of items and you just like don't want to do it. Just grab one thing at a time and say, I'm going to just do what I can in 5 minutes, in 10 minutes. And you'll be amazed at how quickly you can put things back in their home, especially when you've decluttered and you know where everything goes. You just take it one item at a time. You take that one missing sock that you finally found, and you take it to your kid's drawer and you put it with the other sock. You take that stamp that the kids got out of the art closet that was rolling under the table and the dog was trying to eat, and you take it out and you put it in the art closet. Like you just do one thing at a time and it will add up. Don't look at it all at the same time because that just feels super overwhelming. Some doom piles in our house, besides the random doom piles, are laundry, mail, and things that need to be fixed. Those are like the Leyko family doom piles. Laundry, listen, you just got to have less clothing so that there's less to put away because you have to do more regular loads. Like if you force yourself to only own 7 pairs of underwear, then you are required to do laundry every 5 days. And then your loads are smaller. And so putting them away isn't such a huge deal. And the piles aren't so big and it's not so bad, So I'm just a big fan of like decluttering, or at least declutter your undergarments, because like I said, that'll force you to go do the laundry. Okay. So declutter, because we all know the 2-week doom pile of laundry that sits there and stares at you like a mountain of dread. Okay. Don't do that to yourself. Declutter what you own clothing wise, or at least your underwear. Okay, I've said that 3 times. I think you get the point. Mail, which we're going to talk about in a second here. And then, like I said, things that need to be fixed. I always am like, okay, well, this Christmas ornament broke because the child dropped it and Ariel's tail fell off and it needs to be glued together. Or like, I don't know what this little screw goes to, but if I throw it away, my husband's going to ask for it in 3 months and then some entire piece of furniture is going to fall apart. Or this shirt has a stain in it that I really want to get after, or whatever it is. If you have a things that need to be fixed pile, get a things that needs to be fixed basket, okay, and put it out of sight. And then make a visual list, because that is not clutter. So we have a running to-do list. It's called a fix list on our fridge, things that need to be fixed. And I will write ornament, stained t-shirt, whatever it is, on the list. And then it's from that list serves as my reminder, not all the stuff sitting on the counter serving as my reminder. Like I don't need to see the actual ornament and have all of that stuff on my counter to remind me to do it. I just go to my list and be like, okay, I'm going to do this today, and I often assign like today stuff to my husband, like, I mean, I don't know if it's like old fashioned to have a honey-do list or whatever, but like he goes to work. And he often doesn't know what to focus on when he gets home or what is a priority or whatever. And so usually in a different color marker on our little whiteboard, I'll write today. And then I'll tell him exactly which thing to fix today, because it's overwhelming for the fixer. Aaron's the fixer in our house, to be like, I need to do this, 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 and fix this, this, and this. And I'm just like, no, like today, just do X, Y, and Z. And so he knows what's the priority for the day. So that's how we do needs to be fixed items. On to mail, part 2 here of doom piles, specifically paper. Okay. I used to do the whole like toss, file, and needs to be addressed piles, right? And then the toss pile would get tossed, hopefully, quickly. And then I'd have like a file pile and a needs to be addressed pile. And that just turned into doom, double doom. It was like miserable. And the piles kept growing and things never got addressed and never got filed. And then we just had all this paper everywhere. It's the worst. I think I am not alone here. So what I started doing, I open mail now the second it hits the counter. I just one day was like, this is so dumb. Like, I'm not going to open a week's worth of mail at a time because that takes forever. And then I have all these little doom piles and it's the worst. And I just, no, every single day, if you just like open the mail that comes in, it's usually not that much and you can manage it in 2 minutes, if that, and it's done. So just open the mail the second it hits the counter. Toss the tossing stuff immediately. Here are things that I toss immediately. If it is an event flyer, even if it's one I go to, I take a picture of it. I put it in the events photo album on my phone. I go into my calendar on my phone and I write down last day to sign up for XYZ. I put it on my calendar in my phone and I put the day of the event or whatever on my phone. And then I throw away the flyer. Okay, just get rid of all those flyers from school, in the mail, whatever. Same thing. I have a recommendations folder on my phone. So I'm like, oh man, this would be helpful because I really do need someone to wash the sides of our house because the HOA is going to be mad at me next summer. And this person has this deal or whatever. Take a picture of it, put it into your recommendations thing on your phone so that next time you're looking for someone to repair your roof or mow your lawn or whatever service that you actually think you might be useful for you in the future, you can go look through there and see if you have someone that you've saved in there. And then you don't have clutter everywhere. Again, phones are like super useful, guys. It's the 21st century. Things that are also immediately trash are reminders. Again, this is similar to flyers, but a little different. Like, what if there's like a recall on your car? So again, write it down on a list somewhere and take a picture of it to put in your phone. I have a reminders thing. It actually kind of goes, my events and reminders of the same album on my phone, but I take a picture of it and then I'll write it on my to-do list. But I don't need the piece of paper floating around to be my reminder. To-do lists are awesome because it's just your handwriting on a whiteboard or in a notebook or whatever. And then that's all you need to remind you. Okay. And sometimes if it's something like a recall for the car, I'll take a picture of it. I'll send it to my husband. I'll say, I'm putting this on your to-do list. Here's the information. So he has it on his phone too. And it's off my plate if that's in his realm of responsibilities, which car things all fall to my husband. So another thing that you can trash immediately is anything that has already been paid. Auto paid, you do not need the bill. You do not need the reminder. You don't, if it's auto paid, get rid of it. Throw it away. I promise it's like nothing bad will happen. If it's a bill that hasn't been paid and you're not the one who pays it, like my husband is for in our house, he does most of the bills, not all of them, but most of them. But if it falls under his category and I'm like, that's weird that they're sending this, or like, was this paid? I send him a picture of it like I did before. Or I'll also save it into my phone, an album on my phone of like needs to be done or bills that need to be paid. I forget what it's called on my phone. I have so many albums on my phone that I actually legit keep up with, you guys. It is such a helpful tool when it comes to paper. Take a picture of it because the internet exists. There is rarely something that you need to return with a piece of paper. It is usually go to a website and do something. All right. So just either do it immediately if it's my stuff that I need to do. Like, let's say I get a reminder from the school that you need to like pay tuition by X, Y, and Z, and that falls into my bucket of responsibilities. I do it the second that I get it. Or if I'm like really busy or I just really don't feel like doing it right now, I put a reminder in my phone for the next day, pay school. So then it alerts me on my phone to pay the school, right? Like, you can make it work for you without having the piece of paper in front of you. Anything that needs to be filed, which we'll talk about what needs to be filed and what doesn't here in just a second, file it immediately because filing one piece of paper takes 2 seconds if you have your filing system in order. And if you don't, that's a whole different project and a whole different podcast. But we have like just a plastic filing bin, you guys, and I just take whatever it is, if it's like a medical bill or something that we need to hold on to, statements, I don't know, something we need to hold on to for a slightly longer period of time and it needs to be filed, I go and file it immediately. Because filing one item takes 2 seconds. Filing 50 pieces of paper that have grown into a pile to file is a whole ordeal. You're going to procrastinate it because no one wants to sit and file forever. But if you just run over to your file real fast, you just take that little piece of paper and you just take your little bare feet on your little sweet floor and you just walk yourself over to your file and you just put it in there. It takes 2 seconds. And then it's done. And it's not hanging over your head and you don't have a file pile anymore. I know it sounds obvious, but sometimes we need to just remind ourselves that like it's really okay to take 30 seconds to walk over to our file and do it right then. Like it's nothing, the house will not burn down in 30 seconds. Your children will survive for 30 seconds. Your tummy that's hungry will survive for 30 seconds. Just go put the piece of paper away. Just get rid of it. Okay. All right. Let's talk through how long we actually have to keep certain things, because I think this is where we get into these file pile dilemmas. So I looked it up online. If this is wrong, I don't know, someone out there who's like an expert, I'm sorry. I pulled it from like zebra.com or something. I mean, it's not a website about zebras. I think it was called Zebra. I don't know. I didn't reference it like perfectly, but here we are. Okay, so for documents, how long to keep things? Things you need to keep forever. Hopefully these things are obvious, but social security card, birth certificate, marriage certificate, adoption papers, your will, death certificates, right? We're going to keep these things forever, but I don't think those things are really showing up in your doom piles. I hope not. If one of those things is in your doom pile or your mail pile, your file pile, like please put that in a safe location. Okay. So we're going to go from the ones you keep the longest to the shortest. Okay. So here we go. Tax returns. And we're not talking about tax returns supporting documents. I'm talking about the tax returns themselves. As well as like a mortgage payment. So proof of buying your home, keep those things indefinitely. Okay, next, for 7 years, you're going to want to keep your record of a loan payment. For 3 years is tax return supporting documents. You only need those for 3 years. For 1 year, you're going to keep these: quarterly investment records, quarterly retirement savings statements, credit card statements, pay stubs, medical bills, and receipts for large purchases or until the warranty expires. But those are all 1 year items. Okay, I'm going to say them again. Your quarterly investment records, quarterly retirement savings statements, credit card statements, pay stubs, medical bills, receipts for large purchases. You don't need to keep your monthly statements. Okay, quarterly work just fine and it's less. Pay stubs, medical bills, all of those, 1 year. That's all you need. Your dog had a surgery a year ago. Next time you go to file something and you put their little shot records into your filing system and you see that there's a medical bill from 4 years ago when they got fixed, you just crumple it up and you throw it away. Okay, well, maybe not the fixed one. You might need to prove that to someone someday. But if they had their teeth cleaned 4 years ago, just get rid of that. Okay, 1 year for medical stuff. Okay, and I don't know. We don't have major medical issues around here. So if that is wrong, according to what you need to do for you and your family because you have a larger medical situation going on, don't listen to me. Okay, I'm really just reading something off of zebra.com. You know what I mean? All right, so the next one, this is big, credit card bills and receipts in general. First of all, I don't keep receipts. I just don't because generally speaking, if I need to go return something to Target, I just give them my credit card and they put it right back on the card. You know what I mean? So just proceed with caution. You probably don't need your receipts. And credit card bills, if they're paid automatically, we already went over this, get rid of them. Bye. Don't need it. So only keep it for 1 month. If you are somebody who pays by cash or pays by check, or you need to, for whatever reason, give it a little time to make sure that it got paid, fine, keep it for 1 month. That is it. So if you do that monthly, you're going to go in with your little filing paper, your credit card bill, and you're going to put it in its little file. And then you're going to take the one from last month out. Okay. Because they only need to live in there for 1 month. Utility bills, same thing until they're processed. It's probably auto paid. So just get rid of it. Loan documents, only until they're paid. Okay. Get rid of it. Once it's paid, bye. Home and auto insurance. Okay. What's the difference between, loan documents and record of loan payment? If I'm honest, I have no idea. It says record of loan payment, 7 years, loan documents until paid. Can someone clarify? I don't know. Comment and help me. Okay. Insurance documents, home and auto. You only keep those until you get new insurance documents or you don't have that car or house anymore. Okay. So if you don't own the car and the house, you don't need the insurance documents. And if you have new ones and the old ones are expired, get rid of the expired ones. You don't need to keep those. Okay. Home improvement records. So any work that was done on the house, only keep it while you hold the house. If you don't own the house anymore, not your problem, my friend. You don't need to hold on to those records. Okay. So I know that's kind of a lot, and you probably needed to take notes for that to make any sense to you, unless you have a brain of steel or something. But maybe something will stick, and you'll be like, okay, she talked about dog medical bills, and that stuck with me. I can get rid of these, right? So I hope it was helpful. And once a year, just go through your files and trash it. Or if you are like me, and there's no way that once a year you're just going to sit and go through files, because who remembers to do that and who wants to do that? Whenever you're filing something new, if there's something in that folder that can go, just get rid of it then. Put something in, take something out. It's kind of the best way. It's just like your closet. If you buy something new, take something out. This is just how we live our life when we're not wanting to get cluttered. Okay, guys, thanks again for joining me for this little solo epi. And oh my gosh, that reminds me, is anyone watching Love is Blind right now? When Jess told, what's his face, the guy that looks like a turtle, that didn't choose her. Oh, I don't even know his name. Doesn't really matter. And she was like, you're going to need your EpiPen when you see what I look like. Oh man, that was awesome. Uh-oh, I think I screamed so loud that my entire system just broke down. So I don't know if you even heard what I just said, but I was talking about Love is Blind and it probably doesn't matter. Anywho, thanks for being here with me this week, as always, and putting up with my shenanigans. Love you all. See you next week. You just listened to an episode of Paring Down with me, Shannon Leyko. If you enjoyed the show, it would mean the world if you can leave a review wherever you listen and share this episode with a friend. Those reviews really are what keeps a podcast on its feet for the long haul, and I will read every single one with a huge smile on my face, so thank you ahead of time. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit subscribe. Also, be sure to follow along on Instagram at Paring Down Podcast, where I offer lots of tips and inspiration for paring down, along with what's new here on the podcast. Till next time.